Husband made paternity test and accused me of cheating. So I made a bunch of tests and turned out our child is not biologically ours. We started searching for our bio daughter. I'm not sure how it happened, but I've been crying nonstop all day. I've never been dishonest. I've had 2 affairs before we were married, but my current spouse is the love of my life. We've been together since college, and he's nice and attractive. Our daughter has no other possible father. We were already married and in the process of trying for a child. I don't know why he took that pointless test because I would never ever cheat, but because the results were negative, he now believes he isn't her father. I'm terrified, and I don't know how to persuade him that the test was flawed. It seems like in the last several months he's changed drastically from the man I married. He's skeptical and aloof. He insisted on seeing my phone and wouldn't give it to me. I gave it to him at first, but I finally told him I wouldn't give it to him again unless he gave me an explanation. He has also been aloof with our daughter. I have no idea what he is doing while he spends hours upon hours in his office. I wasn't dishonest. He accused me this morning, stating he wanted me out of the house and that he'd done the test after noticing that our daughter's eyes, brown, wouldn't naturally come from ours, blue. He locked me out of our bedroom since I didn't leave, and I'm currently in my daughter's room. This is really scary. How should I proceed? I just had a talk with my hubby as well. Now that he's out of his room, we talked about a few topics. I reiterated my vow to never cheat to him and began discussing a list of tests I wanted completed. But he said he didn't want to hear it at that moment. He stated that he still loves our kid and that he won't try to keep me out of the house or our room for the time being. We're going to talk more about this tomorrow. He gave me a hug when I asked him to. I'm afraid I won't be able to persuade him. All I want is for our family's routine to return. How can I prove my innocence, be a decent wife, and meet his demands at the same time? Update. In the end, I compiled a list of the tasks and exams I wanted to complete. For a while, my husband was understandably suspicious of me, but he later apologized for his actions, which I didn't need, and promised not to try to evict me from our house. He did, however, threaten to go scorched earth if the results of every test showed that I had cheated. We conducted several experiments. He and I both took blood paternity tests, as did our kid. We also scheduled a visit with a chimerism specialist, but that appointment was postponed because, spoiler alert, my daughter is not biologically mine. We're suing the hospital where I gave birth. I'm not sure how this happened, but a policeman came to our house and took our statements. It scares me that I have no idea what happened to my baby. Even though my spouse is back, my entire world was turned upside down, and I wish he had never taken that pointless test. I want to know where my real daughter is and whether she's okay, but I've been sleeping in her room because I'm terrified that she's going to be taken away. I hope to God that she is well. We've been trying to keep this secret, and my kid still doesn't know the specifics. A major controversy is the last thing we need. I don't want her to appear differently to others who know us. She's such a nice kid, she deserves better than that, and she's not someone to be stared at. I'm not sure what we'll do if we manage to locate her birth family. Getting a bigger house and living together would be the best case scenario, but I'm not sure if we can afford it, if they would agree to it, if we'll even be able to find them, or if I'm simply crazy. This whole thing is absurd. Nobody else that I know of has experienced anything like this. I mean, are parents of children who got mixed up able to find support groups? My Google search yielded no results. All I'm receiving is fiction and tabloid stories from trashy publications that put pictures of young children on the same pages as stories about sex scandals involving celebrities. How can our daughter be informed? We have to say something, even if we can't tell her right now because she will tell the school children, and it will then be public knowledge. I have no idea what I've done to merit this. OOP's husband's perspective on everything. It's not the most rational place to be. I'm not sure how many of you have fallen down a self-doubt rabbit hole before. It's even less rational when you have the entire internet to tell you that your wife is unfaithful, that she's going to take over the family home, that she never truly loved you, and that you always kind of assumed she was too good for you anyway. As a result, you start to interpret everything as evidence of infidelity, and your daughter ends up failing 2 paternity tests. After COVID, I gained weight. I became melancholy. I lost my identity as a human. My spouse remained stunning. She continued to be herself. I had no doubt that she had erred. She would come to regret being with me. I became involved in certain internet forums, particularly this one, where males who had been duped, lost custody, and lost everything were talking about their experiences. When someone mentioned that his tip-off was that he and his wife had blue eyes while their son had brown eyes, I felt very foolish. Everyone stated that she was cheating when I posted about my suspicions, but I didn't want to draw any conclusions too quickly. It was advised not to speak up, as she would exploit it to cover up her infidelity and outshine me in the divorce process. When I took the exam, I wasn't really expecting a bad result. Then it actually did. Yes, even though I didn't want to accept it, I recoiled. I felt duped. I tried my best to be a good husband, but I was stuck in this. I searched but was unable to locate any proof of an affair. I received a second test. I lost it when that one came back negative as well. You are aware of the feelings involved if you have ever been deceived. I became much enraged when my wife refuted it. All I wanted was for her to go. I didn't want to experience what it appeared like would happen to everyone. I did not want to lose my child's custody. My goal was not to lose my home. I wanted the truth, yet was also afraid and furious. If she couldn't even be sincere, I thought there would be no turning back now. It took me a few hours to get over it. I tried not to become upset when she returned with a list of tests I needed to take. I made a lot of effort to remain composed. Regarding the affair, I realized I was mistaken, but so did everyone else in my ear. Really, my child is not biologically mine. I didn't think switching at birth was a possibility right away. I went through a difficult period, but I don't believe that being upset once because I believed my wife had cheated on me and was lying about it made me a monster. Hello? This is the OP once more. Just to be clear, I believe that he is not a monster, an abuser, or anything similar. 2. I disagree that he is overweight. I've loved this man for a very long time, and we're not going to allow this circumstance end our marriage. Final update. Our biological daughter was located. Foster care was her situation. The fact that the hospital where we had her wasn't in the ideal location, that her family took her home while they were under investigation, and that the state allegedly took her after it was shown that she wasn't their biological child won't likely surprise many people. While I'm extremely thankful that we were able to locate her alive and safe, I also feel awful for that family. We've gotten right into the adoption process, and we now have access to some very substantial resources. The settlement money is about $2 million, but I wouldn't say it precisely makes up for what we went through. In all honesty, the hospital and we both wanted this to conclude quickly and discreetly, even though our lawyer claimed we could have obtained more in court. We told our daughter that even though her sister would be staying with us, we still cherished her. She looks thrilled by the thought. Hopefully it turns out to be successful. In a few months, we intend to leave our town behind. We've discovered an amazing property a few states away in a top-notch school district with plenty of space for our growing family. I have no idea how we're going to handle the other family. I know it's probably morally wrong not to tell them what happened, but my biological daughter doesn't seem to remember them very well, and I don't really want to engage them if I don't have to. That poor mother must be completely unaware of what has transpired. That sounds like the worst thing ever. But for the time being, I'm concentrating on my girls and trying to arrange a lovely life. And lastly, my hubby. He loves me, and I love him more than anything in the world. We've survived a terrible situation and are not interested in splitting up, terminating our relationship, or doing anything similar. He deactivated his account and said he would trust me going forward since, in all honesty, the likelihood of our child being switched at birth is higher than my cheating on him. I adore him a great deal. We shall be all right. Hopefully this will be my last usage of this account. OP explains a little more. I said that the process had begun. Yes, we did. My primary goal in providing this update was to reassure everyone that everything appears to be progressing well, even if it will be a challenging procedure. I felt that providing the specifics of what was happening would allay the concerns of the many people I worried about. 1. Provide identifying details. 2. Cause more people to get anxious. Yes, she is currently living with a foster home. We requested the hospital's cooperation in a lawsuit and engaged a private investigator. I'm not fully informed on everything here. At this point in time, I know very little about the family that raised my child. Legally speaking, our daughter is still our daughter, but it has to do with the birth certificate. This was not hush money, but rather a court settlement. This has been one of the most challenging times I have ever gone through in my life. I would hope that sharing my story, as it is, could help someone else in a similar circumstance to myself. If you don't want to believe me, that's fine too. I've become used to that. I don't appreciate you making assumptions about me, and it was terrible to search for knowledge and find very little useful. If it occurred to me, it can happen again.